Hi there all and welcome to today's piece. We'll be looking at the Panther 88, a tank that quite a few people I know have not much cared for. And admittedly I was amongst the lot. I had a bad time with the tank when I had first got it. It's rather squishy, plays like a sniper exclusively, but in this replay I'm going to be showing you that it can be utilised in a frontline role. So it's more of a proof of concept sort of thing, not necessarily how the tank is best played, merely that it can fit a role that quite a few I know say that it cannot. But before we get into position, it's time for strat sketch. So, out the gate, normally we would have posted up at a TD position in either one of the places I'm pegging to shoot things as they come across into the fodder zones, or anyone that rides the ridge in the middle like a numpty, too far down anyway. Now, going into the zones, this blue area, which coincidentally looks like another lake, and I shouldn't have coloured it that way, but oh well. It's an aggressive position, but you have to know full well that you will have either A, command of it due to support on the sides over here, or you've got enough people going down in with you that you can push it quickly and get up into the hold down areas on either respective side, or possibly come out the middle and have fun that way. But we're going to be headed up where most of the gun depression tanks will normally go. Now we only have 7 degrees gun depression, but as you will see, we can still make use of this all the same. And with that aforementioned 7 degrees gun depression, that's only at a certain angle, of which you'll see here rather soon. Tier 9, which is even better, because this will go to show that this tank can perform in this role, even when it's not top tier. Come on, send. Oh, bugger all. Right, now, we've got a T-44 who popped up. We don't want him taking command of this indentation off to the right hand side. We need to keep him honest, because if he encroaches too far and makes use of that, that'll be a problem. And good, backed off, 50-41 will keep him that way. Now, you see where that gun is off the front quarter, and I will continually do this right there. That's precisely where you get that 7 degrees, and you will learn, if you try to make use of that, you will want to keep it there off to the side as best you can. Otherwise you're going to be stuck with that 4 degrees off the front, and well, that's not a good time, because you will be overexposed and getting hosed. Oh, hello, squishy pattern. Ah, yes. Now, where he bounced off, you see that grey mark on the left-hand side of the turret, looking at it the right-hand side. We were angled ever so slightly. That is probably the only place you were going to reliably bounce shots. This tank is very squishy, which is why you really shouldn't be doing what I'm doing here, but as you saw, he just went through the face of the turret on the top left, and armor is not quite that notable. But we can do this still, because we've got very good gun handling, enough gun depression, and very good DPM. And that Centurion we're even managing to go through, because we've got decent penetration of boot. And now that we backed him off, we can start trying to take better command of this, and that Centurion just bit it. Ah yes, see the starting the recede, as is the T-44. Now, continuing to use that gun depression, let's try and off this pattern without overexposing. Or, hello, supervision. Oh balls. Rip. We're feeding the ground today, apparently. not enough gun depression. Which is a problem, I must admit. 7 degrees isn't bad, middle of the ground, and it can get you into trouble. Thankfully, on this map in this position, 7 will do you just fine, and going back to aerating the ground. Oh, T-44, rip you, buddy. Ah, super pushing bounced off, but he went off the sleeve of the gun and slid into the turret, so he ricocheted, dropping the pen. You're really not going to bounce all that much. Granted, he's got less than a 200 pen round with the AP. Now, we don't want to charge that northern bit, because we know we got a Rheinmetall over there. So let's go down below and have shots at all those lovely targets out on the Hine line. Or, better yet, we've got a T-54 to play with, who is in that fodder zone we looked at in Stratskitch. You poor bugger. You do not want to be there. But this also goes to show that we will be on the western side of this, with the buildings between us and the enemy. Waffling a shot on him. Boo! See, he's low and out in the open. And as you will see, we're not going to get shot, because we've got all these buildings for coverage. See, we can't get him as he runs off. Come here, T-54. I want some free damages. Nom 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 nom. Righto. Oh, team's capping. But yes, this goes to show what the Panther 88 does best. At range, not really having to move, using your DPM and penetration. And, with his WZ-111, the awesome accuracy. Just over 0.3, which arguably makes it better than the 88 in a way. And even managing to track him at range. Poor WZ. Right, now with the match ending, let's have a look at that after battle report. So, that was admittedly a rather decent match for damage. Let's see, yes, just under 3,000. That was a tier 9 match. We were going up against tier 9 tanks, and in a very aggressive role. Though I must state again, that is not how you should... I shouldn't state it that way. That isn't how the Panther 88 was built to perform. So, that may have gone differently if we would have sat back, but at the same time, even though we would have got a decent amount of damage as the other team pushed over into us, we wouldn't have had that presence, we wouldn't have had that additional HP at the forefront. All that aside, 3,000 damage, decent, 95,000 income, that still feels a tiny bit less for the respective damage compared to, say, the I-6 or the old Tiger 88. But it still isn't bad, just under 100k with premium. That is decent, but the best part about it is the fact that, look at that, 16 hit the target, 14 pen. Now this may vary a little bit if you find yourself up against tier 9 heavies, but over 200 pen, you will have little issue at a tier 8, 9, and if you get it at a tier 10 fight, well, that's when you're most likely going to be playing the Panther 88 as most say it plays sniper at range, hopefully shooting into things sides, not straight on in close quarters. But that's still decent, I think. And let alone the ammunition cost. Relatively low. So as far as a credit earner, it's really not all that bad. But getting further into it, let's now go take a look at Tank Inspector, where we will flesh out exactly why this vehicle's outshone and where its problems are. because there are admittedly quite a few. So, here we've got the Panther 88 and Tank Inspector out the gate, going into the armor model as I mess up with the gun. This tank does not have any significant armor on it. It's worse than the Panther 2. And in some ways it's worse than the Panther. You will not be bouncing shots reliably. Looking at that, about 110 to 120 effective, even at a severe angle. Sides, everything's gonna go through you. See 5 mediums on an average roll, and then the turret, if we've got it angled, that's about all you're gonna be able to do is ricochet shots like you saw us do with the pattern. It's more the angle than it is the effective armor on it, so not reliable by any stretch, and compared it to its in tech tree counterpart, or I should say brother, Panther 2, it's a bit more enough to where you may bounce to 5, 6, low roll from 7s. Turret, same thing, so in that regard they both have bad armor. It just, you can't even bounce to 5s with the Panther 88 compared to the 2. That's a problem. Now going into the statistics, here's where it shines. And I misspoke before when I was saying at the tail end better than the 88 event Panther and the Panther 2. 0.3 accuracy. You will find that is ever so lovely, especially utilising this taking the role that it needs to be at range. That means out at 400 or 500 metres, well within draw range at any rate, this thing reliably hits weak spots more than any other medium in that tier. And you've even got a better DPM than the Panther 2 with a half-second better reload nearly than the Panther 2 as well. So despite being squishier, at the same time you've got more damage potential, which is part of one of the reasons I wanted to push and be aggressive there, because if you utilise it in company, not on its own, you can never do that alone in this tank, because people will see that, come over and hose you, because, well, you're squishy. People like squishy targets. It's free XP. Like the dog. Ha 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 ha. But no. Other downsides, it goes only 46 compared to the Panther 2's 55. Now that in and of itself is a bit misleading, because the Panther 2 got a bit of a buff, and the average medium at this tier is around 50, so it's not all that much slower than other mediums. Power to weight ratio, only 0.08 less than the Panther 2, and as you saw in the replay, it still gets up to speed fairly reliably. Now some of the other issues that it has is the gun handling on it is effectively the same as the Panther 2, but slightly less whilst traversing the hull, but not so much that it's a problem, and as you saw it was still rather tight, so gun handling's good on this tank, DPM's awesome, accuracy's awesome, speed is, it's average, and you also have the decent view range of 390. But as an entire picture, looking at the tank, the chief issue is, again, the armor is not reliable. So you are forced, depending on how you'd seen plays, which you're going to find a lot of times, you have to play it as a sniper. The armor will not hold up to, even if you're in a top tier match and it's predominantly 6s and 7s, it is an issue. It can go in force with other mediums in a push, but it has to be in a group. And I find it a bit coincidental, though it may have been intentional, I forgot about it. The gun down where it is, that's precisely where you needed to get that 7 degrees. Otherwise, anything off the front is that 4 degrees I'd mentioned earlier. Now, as a final note on it, a short, sweet piece. Is it worth the gold? First off, they lowered the price to 7,300. Honestly, for that, it's a good crew trainer. It's if you don't mind needing to snipe, if you don't mind a squishy tank with good damage potential, that is, I think you'll like the vehicle, especially if you go and toss coated optics on it and use it as a quasi scout, which I highly recommend since it is squishy. But its stats are average. They're not bad. It's it's average. And admittedly, Panther 2, I didn't quite like it. I enjoyed tanks more along the lines of the Mutts, where you've got no semblance of armor and it's quicker, it's got a bit worse gun handling, but if you're having a snipe, that's not necessarily a problem. So, end all, Panther 88. It's average tank that finds its fit at range. And if you go into a push, it can't hold on its own. But it does have the DPMs where you can win one on one, and it's a fairly healthy tank at 1500 hit points. So take with that what you will. I like it. I don't love it. And I'm hoping that many of you, if you've got the tank, or if you're thinking about picking it up on discount, which, who knows, anniversary's coming up, it might be on the cheap, but we drug this on a bit too long, so sitting there having a look at a static tank. As always, thank you all very much for watching, and I hope you found this informative, if not entertaining. Good day.